Okay, welcome back to another episode of Third and 23. I'm your host, Alex, here to bring you my pick and prediction video for the Super Bowl. Super Bowl Sunday is upon us. It's the final game of the 2024-2025 football season, and we got Chiefs versus Eagles. Chiefs are going for the three-peat, trying to have a historic or make their mark in history, I guess you could say. So before we get into the breakdown of this game, let's talk about how both these teams got here. You got the Kansas City Chiefs, 15-2 regular season, number one seed in the AFC. But when you dive into the numbers, when you look a little closer, you'll say to yourself, "Well, this isn't your standard 15-win number one seed." Their average margin of victory this season was 3.5 points per game. That's the lowest margin of victory by a number one seed since the Raiders in the mid 80s, and that Raiders team went one and done in the playoffs. So you don't typically see a team with this kind of success with such a low margin of victory. Then you look at their offense, offensively ranked 20 or ranked in the 20s, both rushing and passing this season. So you see, despite Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelsey and you know some decent options at receiver, they really haven't had that much success offensively this season. Now you look at Philadelphia. Philly, number two seed in the NFC. Once the Detroit Lion injuries happened on the defensive side of the ball, I've said it many times, this became the most talented team in the NFL, in my opinion, both front to back, top to bottom, up, down, doesn't matter, offensively and defensively. This is the most talented team in the NFL, in my opinion. How they got here, they played Green Bay in the wild card round, easily cruised past Green Bay, played the Rams in a blizzard in the divisional. A tough matchup in that, or a tough game, especially considering the conditions. Went through and beat the Rams, and then they end up blowing out a Washington Commanders team that I'm just going to say it probably shouldn't have been in the NFC title game, but things broke right for them. So that brings us to the Super Bowl matchup. So let's talk spread. This spread opened up as Kansas City as a 1.5 point favorite, and it took some time, but I finally started to see some line movement, and this has dropped from 1.5 to 1. Now, if you guys bet on the Super Bowl, you know all the line movement, all the money really comes in starting like on Friday, Saturday. But I want to put this video out now because the line is where I want it to be, and I don't want it to go anywhere else. So right now we're looking at a lot of ones out there versus 1.5. So we see Kansas City is a 1 point favorite. So now let's get into the breakdown of this game. Let's talk running game. First, let's talk about Kansas City. Kansas City's run offense, as I said earlier, ranked in the 20s during the regular season. Kareem Hunt, Isaiah Pacheco missed a good part of the season, so it's been mostly Kareem Hunt. We're not talking about explosive running backs. We're not talking about dynamic running backs. I'm not going to call them Hammond Eggers, but we're not talking about explosive players either. And you kind of saw that in the playoffs. These guys really didn't go off against Houston. They really didn't get going against Buffalo. They are who they are. So they're a team that they're good enough to make you respect the running game, but not good enough to make a team less than one dimensional or make the Chiefs less than one dimensional with Patrick Mahomes' arm. They're going against a Philadelphia run defense that's ranked in the top 12 during the regular season, and they've been consistent at that all season long. They really haven't been a weak rush game during the season or during the playoffs. We did see Kyron Williams go over 100 yards in the playoff game. Snowy conditions, though. Snow always benefits the running back, so I kind of chalked that one. Then on the other side of the ball, you talk about Saquon Barkley, historic season, ran for over 2,000 yards. Jalen Hurts also running. He can also run the ball as a mobile quarterback, going against a Kansas City run defense that was top 10 during the regular season, all the way up until Week 15. Something happened. Week 15 through Week 17 and the divisional game against Houston, the Kansas City run defense went from allowing 101 rush yards per game to 142 rush yards per game. And in the AFC Championship against Buffalo, they gave up 147 yards rushing in that game. So something's been going on with this Kansas City run defense. They've gotten weaker here in this last month and a half or so of the regular season and playoffs. So that's a big advantage, in my opinion, with Philadelphia and Saquon Barkley. The game script for Philly in this one is their game script in every game. Establish the run, control the clock, let Saquon Barkley hit big plays on the ground. And this game sets up to allow him to do that, considering Kansas City Chiefs' rush defense is trending down. So I give that check in terms of running game to Philadelphia. Now let's talk about passing game. Let's talk about Kansas City. You got Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, and yet and still the Kansas City Chiefs pass offense in terms of yards per attempt ranked in the 20s. Rasheed Rice goes down early. I think it was week 2 or something like that. Goes down early in the season. And they haven't had an alpha dog step up on the outside to be that number one. They got rookie Xavier Worthy, got Travis Kelsey still there, but Travis Kelsey didn't get it done during the regular season, though he has kind of turned it on in the playoffs. You got Juju Smith-Schuster, who's been hurt, but now he's back. You got Hollywood Brown, who was hurt, but now he's back. So it's just been, you could say the inconsistency at their wide receiver position is probably what impacted Patrick Mahomes and probably impacted the passing game numbers for Kansas City. But it is what it is. The Chiefs' passing offense has ranked in the 20s during the regular season. Against Houston, saw a little better. Patrick Mahomes looked much better in that, looked a little better in that game, but yet still we still saw some passing inconsistencies in that one. And then against Buffalo, the Bills' pass defense, Patrick Mahomes finally started to get off. He finally started to kind of cook, started to look like Patrick Mahomes. So maybe something's turning there. Maybe that's a trend breaker, so to speak, in that game. They're going against the Kansas City passing offense is going against the number 1 ranked pass defense in the NFL, and the Philadelphia Eagles. By far, too. If you're looking at the numbers statistically, by far, the Philadelphia Eagles have the number 1 pass defense in the league. The thing when I look at this game, though, is I say Patrick Mahomes and a bunch of veteran receivers, outside of Xavier Worthy, of course, a bunch of veteran receiving options. Eagles got 2 rookies on the back end, plus Darius Slay, and by no stretch is anybody going to convince me that Darius Slay is, Darrelle Revis or something. So, maybe it's part of it. It might be schematically. Maybe part of it is these rookies are really that good. But I don't believe that Patrick Mahomes is going to get shut down by this number 1 ranked pass defense in Philadelphia when you got 2 rookies on the back end. There's no way Patrick Mahomes isn't looking at these rookies and saying, okay, I can spot the advantages in this game. So I expect Patrick Mahomes to be able to kind of cook like he did against Buffalo in this one. Then on the other side of the ball, you've got Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has 2 great receiving options on the outside in A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, but they weren't used this season. During the regular season, these guys averaged roughly 170, 180 yards passing per game. It was all about handing the ball off to Saquon Barkley. And we saw these receivers kind of voice their frustrations with the offense during the regular season. And we saw more of the same in the playoffs. Jalen Hurts, I think he had like 130 yards passing or 120 yards passing, something like that, in the wild card round against Green Bay. He had the same kind of numbers in the divisional round against the Rams, though again, it's a blizzard, right? Then he finally went off. He got around 240 or so against the Commanders in the NFC Championship game, but the Commanders are a very bad defense. Kansas City, on the other hand, it's been a top 10 pass defense all season. They've proven to still be that during the playoffs. They were pretty strong against C.J. Stroud in Houston. And then against Buffalo, Josh Allen, probably going to be the MVP. They did what they could. Obviously, they gave up some big plays to Josh Allen, but they're going to do that Josh Allen. Jalen Hurts is not Josh Allen. Jalen Hurts has proven when he's had to pass the ball, he's proven to be somewhat inconsistent. So I got to give the passing game an advantage to Kansas City in this one. So when we're talking about balance, I don't think either team is really going to have balance. I don't think Kansas City is going to be able to run the ball. I don't think Philadelphia is really going to be able to pass the ball. So now it comes down, well, who do I think is going to win this game? How do I think the game script of this game is going to play out? I look at it like this. Kansas City Philadelphia is the better team. They're better in overall talent. They've got the better running game. They got the better receiving options. Statistically, they have the better defense, though player for player, you can make an argument on that one. They're the better team. But they got some things going to working against them. We're talking about history being made. We're talking about a three-peat on deck. No team has ever made it to the Super Bowl with an opportunity to three-peat. Teams like the Cowboys in the 90s, for example, lost an NFC Championship game. Nobody's ever made it this far. You got that trend breaker working against him. You got the fact that I'm in the coaching advantage. I'm taking Andy Reid over Nick Sirianni. You got the quarterback advantage. I'm taking Patrick Mahomes in a clutch situation because I expect this to be a close game. Patrick Mahomes or Jalen Hurts when they got to make a throw to win the game. Man, I'm taking Patrick Mahomes. So I see the game script going as the Kansas City Chiefs, number 3 third down offense in the league, to keep that continuing, to keep that top possession going, to be able to hit enough plays late in the game or during the game to keep this close, and then late in the game, clutch plays. The most clutch player in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes, leads Kansas City to the W. I'm taking Kansas City. I'm riding with Vegas in this one. I like the Chiefs to win it. I know the Eagles on paper look like the better team, but I'm going with history. I'm going with Mahomes to get it done. And then, as you guys know, I don't ever really do over-unders, but I do them for the Super Bowl. So if you're interested in the over-under, this opened at 50.5 and quickly went down to 48.5. Now I've seen it kind of creep back. Still see 48.5s out there, but now I'm starting to see some 49s out there. I like it at 49. Maybe I might push it to 49.5. 26-23 kind of game, because I definitely like the under in this one. Kansas City is not an explosive offense. They're more methodical, great on third down. I expect that to continue. Philadelphia is an established run kind of team. They're going to run the ball. I don't expect them to get out of their comfort zone of run the ball, so I don't expect to see Jalen Hurts throwing the ball all over the yard. So that's going to shorten the game, lessen the amount of drives you see. I like the under. So go ahead and give me Kansas City laying the 1, and I'm going to take the under 49. And anyways, that wraps it up. Was the end of the football season. I'm going to probably try to put out some football related. I'm going to try to football/betting related videos throughout the offseason as we lead into the 2025, both college and pro football season. See what I can do. It's probably going to be surrounded about, or it's kind of probably going to be more around futures, but we'll see what we can do when the time comes. But anyway, that wraps it up. If you like the content, please like, follow, comment, subscribe, all of that. As you can see, my YouTube handle hit in a few seconds. Take care.